Hello Namibia, and welcome to your daily lunchtime show where we get to catch up on current events and headlines that are in the news. My name is Priska Agnolo and you are watching NMH at 1. Let us first take a look at the incoming news this morning. Air Namibia this morning announced that their fleet of 4 Embraer aeroplanes will be halved as from the 16th of November, as 2 of these planes need to be maintained, which takes them out of service for at least 4 weeks. Air Namibia will therefore discontinue flying to Cape Town and Johannesburg. Only the domestic flights will continue as before. Some analysts cry foul in view of the statement flying in the face of recent assurances that the airline would not be affected by the recent suspension of its ISS account required in order to ease international bookings. As will become adequately clear during the show, retired Army General Martin Shali apologized for his remarks made at a political rally in Okahanja, at which occasion he called for political opponents of SWAPO to be killed. It now seems as though both the ECN and possibly the state prosecutor will remain under pressure to yet charge Shali, as the threat to kill or murder was opened in a public space. And now we move on to our COVID-19 news. And as always, on Tuesdays, your COVID-19 monitor focuses on contact tracing. With yet more new cases reported at schools and other institutions, such as the Oluno prison at Ondangwa, more new contacts were also listed compared to the week before. By Friday, exactly 31,600 contacts had been officially followed up. Over the 7 days up to the 6th of November, 652 new contacts were listed. Most of them in the Khomas region with 141 and the Oshikoto region with 137. In Oshana region, 85 contacts were traced. Our map shows additional numbers recorded in other regions. Erongo and Omaheke both recorded 71 new contacts. No new contacts were listed in the Zambezi and Hardap regions. Oshodonjupa and Omaheke have now both also traced more than 1,000 contacts each. The highest totals, apart from Erongo and Khomas, are Hardap with 4,249 contacts traced and Oshikoto with 716. And that is it for our COVID-19 news.
What's happening, everybody?
As always, next we bring you video news clips from around the country. Having yesterday brought you the video clip of retired General Martin Shali when he made very strong remarks during a political rally of the SWAPO party in Okahanja during the past weekend, calling on his party cadre to kill opposition leaders, it is no more than fair to also bring you his public apology, which was recorded by the national broadcaster NBC late yesterday afternoon. This is the recording of the NBC.
Therefore, I take this opportunity to tell my comrades, members of the SWAPO party, as well as any other person whosoever might have been offended by the statement that I have made. I essentially withdraw that cutthroat thing, and therefore I apologize to anybody whom I have offended. So, comrades, friends, opposition parties, because this statement was made at a political rally. It was meant to canvass support for my party. At the same time also to appeal to not only SWAPO members, to others as well, to vote for SWAPO. And that's why I made that statement. So my apology to the comrades and to friends and to all Namibians who are listening now.
President Hage Geingob visited Walvis Bay late last week and, among other duties, handed over houses to the people. Have a look at what he had to say.
I hope it's not going to be the case that when we provide housing, others will come and squat, hoping that they will also get the housing. And some also have houses apparently in other areas, but they want to come and squat and rent out their houses. So what I'm trying to refer to is sometimes we're a little bit selfish. We want to make money for ourselves at the expense of others. Many basic needs. The shelter is very important. For people to have a place to put their heads on. But in this country, it's a bigger problem. That our people are still living in this informal sector. They come and squat, and conditions there are not good for human habitation. That's why we declared war, so to say, against this informal sector. In our settlement, actually. Our aim, with your help, the private sector's help, Standard Bank, thank you very much for your help, and others must come on board too, that we can all address this very ugly situation. Our cities are very beautiful, but when you go around and see some areas where people are living in these settlements, it takes away from the beauty and nice town houses, big mansions you see sometimes. But when you come, they say, but how about these ones now? They are all in the same country, same town. But some are living in nicer places and others are really living in bad conditions. What kind of a society is that? That's why we are saying we must hold hands and address our problems together. We are not going to survive for a long time. We have a society of unequal. You can have peace now, but after some time, you are going to have, what is her name, Olga? Huh? We are going to have many Olgas. They will start to occupy. They will start to cause chaos. But you see, when you want to eat a scrambled egg, what do you do with that beautiful egg? What do you do with it?
You must crack it.
You break it. Huh? And then you put it together and you eat nice scrambled egg. Olga has done that. But I'm glad she warned you not to follow her footsteps. Because the government is your government, is willing to work with you. You want to go to war when there is no cooperation, when there is no ears to listen to you. But we in SWAPO, when we had elections last year, we were a little bit punished here and there, not completely. We only lost one seat. Now we are 8 SWAPO was completely destroyed. No! We are warned. We said, be careful. And we said, we heard you. Our slogan is, we heard you. Not that we didn't hear you in the past. It would be wrong to claim that. Even you cannot claim that. What has been done in this country after independence. But we need more. Our people want to get more. And people who have hope, people who who are hopeful. I always say that there was a case during the Black Power movement and so on, where one professor was asking when we were angry, like Olga, angry. They said, people, why were blacks in America quiet? Were they better off 30 years ago? He said, so what? People, when they are hopeless, they sit and suffer peacefully. But when there is hope, they see the light at the end of the tunnel. They want to run and reach there. Hence, it looks so chaotic. It's just like your scrambled egg. But we must also listen to Olga. Olga says, I did that, but I don't do it. Because you're listening government. If you're listening government, why should you cause trouble? Huh, Olga, why should you cause chaos? That's why she's saying now, don't do what I did, I have done, we are now holding hands, we're in the same direction.
While in Walvis Bay, Namibia's First Lady Monica Geinkos visited the family of the recently brutally murdered Shannon Wasserval. The murder of Wasserval led to substantial public outcries and demonstrations against gender-based violence. And Shannon's murder is likely to remain the proxy for all GBV-related activism. But the longer the investigation continues, the more it would seem as though it is not a clear-cut GBV case, but rather a family tragedy based on jealousy. In the meantime, her memory will serve a very good cause.
Shannon is my daughter's age, and it impacts us because we realize none of us are exempt. It's not impossible for this to happen to any person or any family. And what we want to say to each of you is the loss is difficult enough on its own, but when there's so many unanswered questions, so many unresolved issues, it makes it harder. And there's a quote that says, you never get over grief, you just learn to make space for it. And as you learn to make space for that grief, is really to remember the strength of the Lord and what He calls on us to do in times like this, and that's to love one another. There's things that are not within our control, and those are the things that we accept. But the things that are within our control, we must try, and that loving one another, reducing conflict where there's conflict. We've got a baby with us, we've got a long way to go. Loving him, making sure that he's looked after. And we really thank you, Dennis, you as well. You played some important roles in the beginning when you were saying to people, I think the protests are necessary. I think the idea to give attention to the issue of GBV is very important. But I remember you were the one saying, please don't use this to start criticizing police officers, because you know, as much as we know, that the police have done a lot here. So it's also painful for me when I see people on social media, people saying police has done nothing.
Yeah.
I know it's not true, but I also know people are frustrated. So I was grateful that family members who dealt with the police so closely said, maybe other things are true, but that's not true. Because we also constantly called into the police, and the kind of engagement the police had was amazing. If anything, I think the police should be thanked.
Exactly.
It was a difficult case.
Yeah, it was.
It was a difficult case. So we thank you for that, because it was an important reminder. And it doesn't take away from the fact that we do have a crisis. We do have to act more, and I'm grateful to the President as well for the actions that he's been consistent in all of his major speeches when it comes to gender-based violence. And I know that he is increasingly talking about the plans that he wants to strengthen the fight against gender-based violence, because it impacts all of us. And we need to look at all of the issues, because there's not one single reason for gender-based violence. It's not alcohol alone, it's not drugs alone, it's not family dysfunction alone, it's many different factors. And we really want to play a role in understanding those factors and potentially protecting families like yours from this kind of experience. Yeah. But I think you, as a family, you've been strong, you've been dignified within a lot of hurt and uncertainty. And we just want to say you must continue with that. You're an example to all of us. Yeah.
Looking at the front pages of various Namibian papers today, we see that, as one would expect from most Namibian papers, the Algemeine Zeitung leads on its front page with the apology that has been formulated by the retired Army General Martin Shali, who retracted the statements made by himself at a political rally of the ruling party in Okahanja on Saturday. Martin Shali had called on SWAPO supporters to kill political opponents in a brutal manner, and in reaction to widespread criticism and reproach, withdrew these statements yesterday afternoon during a short interview with the national broadcaster NBC. Republican on its page 1 also focuses on the Shali incident. While the retired general has withdrawn his call on party members to have the party's opponent's throats slit, he does insist that it was supposed to have been interpreted as a figure of speech. Martin Shali also features on the front page of the Namibian Sun, again stressing the point that the retired general kept defending his remarks, but more so focused on the fact that the Secretary General of SWAPO, Sophia Shaningwa, defended the general, saying, "We as a party agree with what he said." The Namibian leads with an expose of the German private school of DHBS that is supposed to still have serious racial issues with children using derogatory language among themselves. The school principal, Kristen Eichholz, has apparently refused to answer a detailed question catalogue of the Namibian. New Era leads on its front page with an article about employees of the fishing company Seaflower Pelagic Fishing that protested against the company and now insist that the fishing quota that was handed to SPP in order to save jobs should in fact be retracted. SPP is the company that was previously contractually tied to the government-owned entity named National Fishing Corporation, known as Fishcorp, which finds itself in the center of the fish rod corruption scandal. And on the inside of our country's newspapers, you'll be able to read up on the following. On its page 2, the Algemeine Zeitung focuses on the $111 million Namibian budget that the Irongo Regional Council presented during the past Friday. The chairman of the council, Juso Kambweshe, is satisfied that the regional council has provided an environment conducive to regional development to the good of all. The Republican newspaper on its page 3 gives an update of Botswana that is in the process of opening its borders again after COVID-19. Airports have been opened while border points for road travel will be open on the 3rd of December. The Namibian Sun on page 2 carries a report about the important role that women play in Africa when it comes to meeting a growing demand for food. According to a new report issued by the African Union and the UN's Food and Agriculture Organization known as FAO, the important contribution and role of women in terms of food and nutrition security, as well as land and water management, needs to be reassessed. On its page 3, the Namibian reports that Namibia will not have direct access to the new anti-COVID-19 vaccine that is in the process of being brought out by Pfizer and the German BioNTech SE. The Minister of Health and Social Services, Kalumi Shangula, again confirmed that Namibia will obtain vaccines via the COVAX facility. This agrees with previous media reports in Namibia. New Era on page 3 reports that the long-awaited trial in which Dirk Conradi and Sarah Damases are due to explain their supposedly corrupt shenanigans during an MTC marketing deal to the value of 60 million Namibian dollars is again postponed on account of the fact that Conradi's South African lawyer could not make it to court. It is now due to start on the 8th of March in the year 2021. And instead of an interview, we today again bring you a short recording. Election fever is picking up, and the independent candidate for the Windhoek West constituency, David Hoffney, shares his manifesto for the upcoming local and regional authority elections, which are due to take place on the 25th of November. Do take a look.
This is David Hoffney, the regional councillor candidate for Windhoek West constituency, standing as an independent candidate. As we are launching our action plan for today, we have 4 main areas that we are going to focus on. The first thing is the safety and security of our people, whereby we are experiencing thieves and robbers coming to Windhoek West to rob us and break into our houses. The second thing is also on housing and accommodation for our people, whereby there is no adequate housing and accommodation in Windhoek West and high renting prices in our constituency. The third thing is also on educational programs, whereby we want to be part of the journey of our young ones that are schooling or living in Windhoek West. We want to build capacity for them and help them to achieve their goals. And the last thing is on student issues, whereby we have all the universities and institutions of higher learning that are found in Windhoek West, but we have students that are suffering in this constituency. So that is what we are going to touch on today when we are launching our action plan.
And with that, we have reached the end of today's lunchtime show, but look forward towards engaging with you again tomorrow. I've been your host, Priska Agnolo, and thank you so much for watching and supporting us here at NMH at 1. Please do join us again at the same time and at the same place, and do stay tuned for a quick snapshot of the weather as well. Goodbye, Namibia.